3, 2, 1.
2, 1.
Champion now, champion forever.
Get another one of these this year.
It's my year, man. Draft day. Let's get it.
Y'all ready to get fucked?
The guy with the 48th pick as his first pick is gonna hurt this year.
It's my year.
Garrett Wilson better not fuck me over this year.
Fuck your mother.
Beginner's luck for me.
Hello, Best Night Ever League. I am bringing you the Week 3 recap from the Cold Plunge today. Sponsored by Caesars Sportsbook. You don't want to know how much money it costs to have Caesars send you these kind of things. Let's have a good recap. Fantasy football is all about keeping your cool in the harshest of conditions. Let's see how that goes while I'm in the Cold Plunge. It's set to a right temperature of 39 degrees, as cold as it will go. Here we go. Fantasy football is all about stress. We love stress. And I'm about to put my body through so much stress, all for you guys. This is the feeling of when you have two guys and you don't know who to start. Are you going to start the right one? Are you going to be able to fight through the stress? Who knows? Shit. Woo! Okay, it's cold. It's cold. Okay, so. Alright, I gotta get to our matchups. So, week 3 was an exciting week. I can't focus. But I'm gonna start with Hawk Tua and Zach Gwen versus Gregor Falk, Apollo 12. We all know about Apollo 12. So, the story of week 3 for Gregor was Baker Mayfield and the boys. None of them played well. I tried to help Gregor out. I tried to tell him the Broncos were too good, but he didn't listen. It's cool. Okay, I got it. Okay, so Baker Mayfield and the boys did not carry Gregor through week 3. He tried to get cute with Tony Pollard, and it did not work out. Brock Purdy finally showed his skills with a 25-point game. Bijan had a decent game with 12.2, but but it's still not as good as Jamar Gibbs. Mike Evans and company did not do well. So cool. Okay. Okay. Chris Godwin. Shit. Oh god. It takes a while for you to adjust to this kind of condition. Okay. Gregor. Okay, I got this. Okay, so the biggest issue with Gregor's team this week was starting. I cannot calm down. Has it been 2 minutes already? Okay. Fuck. Okay. So Gregor tried to start Dallas Goedert over, or he tried to start some guy with the last name Strange over Dallas Goedert, and that did not work out for him. Devontae Smith went out with a concussion, and Gregor ended up with a 95-point week. This would be the perfect time to be good at the fastest 2 minutes like Cam is, but I'm not quite there yet. Zach, on the other hand, had a fantastic week, which was well deserved after the stress he went through in week 2, losing Tua and basically Jalen Waddle. His quarterbacks didn't do much, but Jonathan Taylor and Chuba Hubbard carried the team this week with 29 and 28 points respectively. Garrett Wilson showed some strides of greatness, but it's not the Garrett Wilson that we expected. Zay Flowers, the number one. Zay Zay Flowers being the number one target on that team is not working out. Trey McBride, a highly sought-after tight end, it's not working out either. All in all, Zach's team was carried by his running backs, and it worked out great for him with a 118-point week. Gregor dropped to 2-1, and Zach went to 1-2. On to the next matchup, the two-headed lion in Michael versus Jacob, and you like that. Michael was carried by Sam Darnold and his Lions running backs. Tyreek, without Tua, is nobody. Amari Cooper had a 2-touchdown week, showing that he is truly a boomer bust wide receiver. Jordan Mason is the bell cow back for that team, but he didn't have a touchdown, and overall he had a pretty decent week with 10 points. Outside of that, Michael seemed to do too much, but a 138-point week is going to win you most of those weeks, or most of your matchups. Jacob, on the other hand, has really felt let down by Patrick Mahomes this year. Overall, he hasn't scored over. That was his best game this year with a 15.3 point game. The story of Jacob's week was James Conner and Ramondre Stevenson combining for 2.3 points. That's not what you want to see out of your two running backs. Although Jacob's best part of his team is his wide receivers with Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and newly acquired Chris Olave in the first round, he has not been able to be carried by those guys quite yet. He drops to 1-2 as Michael goes to 2-1. Jacob had a great pickup with Andy Dalton, and now Bo Nix, who might be a great steal in the 6th round. We still haven't decided how that's going to work out. But all in all, pretty good week for Michael, and Jacob shit the bed. I'm getting there. Alright, so now we have Andrew versus Bobby. Andrew really did have this in the bag. To be able to start Juwan Jennings for 44 points and lose was really a disappointment for him. Trevor Lawrence struggled greatly with only 8 points, and that has been Andrew's pride and joy for the last 3 years. And to not have Trevor Lawrence perform has to hurt. Jared Goff doesn't look like the quarterback he's looked like in the past, only going for 13 points. The Lions look like a running first team, and I don't know how Jared Goff is going to fare from there. Andrew has been beaten by the injury bug this year. He is starting Carson Steele and DeAndre Swift at running back after having CMC and Isaiah Pacheco to start the year. He is honestly doing the best he can to survive. Looking at Bobby's team, 7 minutes. Looking at Bobby's team, he was carried by his quarterbacks, which is what Bobby has done all of his fantasy football career. Zach Moss had a great game, which is surprising, but he's kind of the bell cow back there. Cam Akers had a decent game without Joe Mixon. Drake London did decent, kind of looking like that first round pick that Bobby hoped he would be. Travis Kelce's still struggling, and the funniest part about this matchup was the negative points from the Raiders and the Cowboys. Woo! Andrew gets the loss, goes to 0-3, the only team in our league at 0-3, and Bobby goes to 2-1. Moving on to Connor versus Cam. This was the hot matchup for the week, and Cam taking the highest score of the week. The biggest story of this was the flashbacks from Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. What an incredible game by those two. 28 points and 29 points, respectively. They absolutely carried Cam's team. Zach Charbonnet looks incredible. Honestly, the best bet for Cam at this point is to hope that, I can't even think of the guy's name, Kenneth Walker doesn't come back. Nico Collins has looked like a great wide receiver 1 over in Houston. And Malik Neighbors is unquestionably one of the best wide receivers we've seen in a long time. Honestly, since Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, who are both from LSU. Cam got 15 from the Bills defense, which helped a lot. Over on Connor's side, Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson are Connor's pride and joy. Jalen Hurts does not look good this year. Saquon steals a lot of his glory. Lamar Jackson had a great game. Kyron Williams and Derrick Henry absolutely carry Connor. Both running backs going for over 30. Rashee Rice looks like the steal of the draft with 26. Cook had a great game. Cook looks incredible. All in all, Connor's team plays great. He can't be too upset about it, but obviously I know that he would have liked to have that win. Connor drops to 1-2. Cam also goes to 1-2. First win this season. In the last matchup of the week, we have Thomas versus Oscar. Oscar had a great draft, honestly, in the sense of that he was able to pick up some quarterbacks to fill in for Justin Fields, but in all, Justin Fields ended up playing pretty well. Saquon Barkley and Alvin Kamara have absolutely carried Oscar this year. Even with CeeDee Lamb only having 5, he had 141 points, which carried him over Thomas. Although Thomas had a terrible week with only 79 points. Anthony Richardson does not look like the quarterback that Thomas hoped he would be. And Derek Carr, I mean, what can we say about Derek Carr? He's not going to be that great. Breece Hall and Devon Achane are Thomas's best players, combining for 24. So it wasn't too bad of a week. And Marvin Harrison had a great week with 15. Thomas goes to 2-1, and Oscar goes to 3-0. The best team in our league so far this season. That was an extremely hard recap. I hope you guys appreciated that. I'll dunk for you to finish off, and I hate doing this. Oh shit. Whew. Oh, and that's your week 3 recap. Oh shit, Hello everyone. I just wanted to throw in a quick week 4 preview. Just kind of run through the matchups and see what it's looking like for week 4. First off, we have Cam versus myself. Overall, Cam has played incredible this year. I think his average points per week is 138 versus my 130. The biggest question is, can he get what he expects out of CJ Stroud? I think overall he hasn't played great this year. And honestly, Cam's quarterback situation is crazy. To have Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, and to snag Jaden McDaniels in the first round is incredible, but it also makes it hard to decide who to start on a week-to-week basis. It looks like he's going with his young guns this week with CJ Stroud versus Jacksonville, and then Jaden McDaniels versus Arizona. Jaden McDaniels has looked incredible. I think that game that he had versus Cincinnati was kind of a statement game for him. He didn't miss a pass. He looked incredible. When it really counted towards the end of that game, he showed his brightest spots. So Cam has to be excited about that pick. Josh Jacobs is kind of turning into a boomer bust type of player. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays with Jordan Love back in the lineup. I think overall the Packers team is going to be better with Jordan Love, so more scoring opportunities for Josh Jacobs. Again, like I said earlier, the best thing for Cam was to have Zach Charbonnet just be the starter. He's been incredible since he has been the starter. And now with Kenneth Walker back from injury, you can't imagine that it's going to go straight to Kenneth Walker's backfield. It's going to be kind of a split backfield there for a little bit. Nico Collins and Malik Neighbors, great wide receivers. Obviously, Malik Neighbors having 15 targets, 12 receptions, 115 yards on Thursday night. Malik Neighbors had a concussion at the end of that game. Obviously, like with all Giants players, they're going to literally kill Malik Neighbors. He's going to die before the end of the year because of how much they use him. He's super fun to watch, great pick and great player. we'll just see how sustainable his workload can be. And then, yeah, Dalton Kincaid, Jamar Chase, and Matt Prater. Over on my side, I have Sam Darnold, and then I have Jordan Love coming back. We have Jamar Gibbs versus Seattle, Jordan Mason versus New England, Tyreek and Amari Cooper. Obviously, the matchup's going to look like how good can these two wide receivers play for me. Tyreek and Amari can both put up 25, or they can both put up 10 combined. So we're looking at a difference between 40 points if they go for 50, or they can go for 10. Brock Bowers was one of my pride and joy picks this year because he just is going to be so good. Especially Devontae Adams going down. I think they're going to target and use him even more. He had a great first 2 weeks, and I don't know if it was a scheme or what happened last week, but he caught 3 for 4 receptions for 40 yards, and he looked great, and he is great. He just did not get the targets. Another one of my interesting decisions that I still haven't decided is whether or not to play Aaron Jones or David Montgomery. Part of me feels like I should not give up on the Lions stack until it hurts me. And with the Seattle game being the highest points over under for this week, I might lean back towards David Montgomery. Green Bay is just a good matchup for Aaron Jones, and again, he's shown some of those crazy games that he used to have back in the day, getting 6 targets in back-to-back games, going for 26 last week, 19 carries. Like, he is just a machine for that Minnesota backfield, and he has completely overtaken Ty Chandler. Looking like Deshaun Watson and the Browns suck, so got him on my bench for right now. The only other question that I have is, do I throw Jayden Reed in there? And who do I sit if I have to throw in Jayden Reed? The one game that we saw Jayden Reed play, he was incredible. So Jordan Love being back, I don't know how good this guy can be, but he seems to be Jordan Love's favorite target. Moving on to Connor versus Zach. Back to Cam and I. I'm obviously going to take the win over Cam. So I will move to 3-1, and Cam will move to 1-3. So we'll see how that plays out. But moving on to Cam versus Zach, Connor's team is looking incredible. Derrick Henry and Kyren Williams kind of are carrying that team. We weren't sure how good Kyren Williams was going to be without Puka and Cooper Kupp, but 30 points is absolutely insane last week, getting all of the touches, 90% snap share. You can't ask for anything more. Young running back, going to be absolutely abused while they can. All the way down the line, Connor's team's looking good. Obviously, his only wide receiver that he has that's worth anything is Rashee Rice. And then outside of that, he really struggles to find a good wide receiver too. Really the only weakness in Connor's team right now. Over on Zach's side, he is just having a rough time this year. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to do to fix this. If Chuba can be any decent with Andy Dalton under center, that'll be a huge saving grace for Zach. His quarterback should be fine. I mean, Kyler Murray's going to be great. And then Gardner Minshew, we've seen in the past, has put up big games. So ideally, he can get, 35 from those two, maybe 40 if Kyler goes crazy. Again, kind of Garrett Wilson and Zay Flowers are these boomer bust guys, younger guys get the target share that they deserve, but aren't quite producing yet. So we haven't seen, consistency from them quite yet. And then it looks like Trey McBride's out. Hopefully Zach can get that change in. I know he's across the entire world right now over in Japan, so hopefully he can figure that one out somehow. I don't think he has a backup, so I will have to text him and see if he can get that figured out. But I predict that Zach will drop another game. Connor will move to 2-2, Zach to 1-3. Zach's only, he's just hoping that Tua comes back, and then he can rely on Garrett Wilson and Zay Flowers. Connor, on the other hand, is just going to hope to keep rolling. Mark Andrews, I don't know why on earth he is playing Mark Andrews still. I think it's kind of like this weird thing that he had for Mark Andrews back in the past, and he's just hoping that he'll be that guy again, but he will never be that guy again. Sorry, Connor, but you should really consider moving on at tight end. But you will move to 2-2 this week. Moving on to Gregor versus Thomas. This is kind of a big week for both these guys at both being 2-1. Again, like I said earlier, Anthony Richardson, you'd like to see the guy play better, but he's just not it so far. And with him playing Pittsburgh, I can't imagine he has over 10 points. The only completions that he's made that's been worth anything have been 60-yard completions, but I just think Pittsburgh's defense is too good, and he's going to really struggle. Yeah, the unfortunate reality of Justin Herbert has been very sad. I think he's questionable for this game, but obviously Thomas has Derek Carr in there. Derek Carr started the season incredibly hot, but there is no way that Derek Carr won't be the Derek Carr we all know. So he's going to struggle out with his quarterbacks, ideally getting 30 between the two of them. He's going to look to really lean into Breece Hall and Devon Achane. Again, the Miami whole offense has struggled without Tua. So Devon Achane, he's looking to get 10, kind of bust open a play if he can, but I really don't think he goes over 10 this week. But Breece Hall should continue to carry. Denver's defense is incredible in terms of a pass defense, so the only weakness they have is run defense. So they are going to feed their two running backs, and with Breece Hall being their RB1, he should have a fantastic game. Thomas also kind of struggles at wide receiver with these kind of boomer bust guys that aren't quite reliable yet. Marvin Harrison obviously only had the one bad game. He should be Tyler's number one guy and end up being really good and that first round pick that Thomas hoped he would be. So we'll see how that plays out. It looks like Debo's questionable, but he is expected to play on Sunday as of today. So that'll change a lot for Thomas. I think he probably had Rachaad White in there, which Thomas's depth does not look good. His bench is really rough right now, so I can see why he wants to put Debo in no matter what. I will warn Thomas that Debo has had these kind of games where he's expected to play and then goes for like 0.6 or 1. I had Debo last year, and I know the pain, so be aware of that. Gregor, on the other hand, has Caleb Williams and Brock Purdy in. Should get some decent numbers from those guys. The Rams defense has not been great, but I don't think they've really given up a ton of quarterback points. So we'll see how Caleb Williams plays. He looked kind of good against Indiana. 52 passes, though, and he only managed 17, so not sure how that's going to work out. We're really kind of looking for Bijan to have that breakout game. Overall, I mean, Pittsburgh, Philly, Kansas City, New Orleans, can you ask for like a rougher start? I don't think it's going to be the New Orleans game that makes him pop off. I think really we'll see him Tampa Bay, Carolina, Seattle start to be that RB1 that everybody thinks he is. If he does not pop off by week 6, that is going to cause a lot of concern. Travis Etienne, kind of another unsure guy with I can't even say the guy's last name, but with their RB2 kind of taking a little bit of shine from Travis Etienne. I don't know what it is, but I think last year his yards per carry just looked so good. Overall, the Jags offense was better, and so we'll see how he ends up being. But Gregor's going to live or die by the Bucs. So Baker and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin could put up a ton of points, or they could suck. So he's going to really live or die by that, which is good. We've seen Stacks win in this league, and I think he's going to try to ride that as long as he can. Baker looks like an incredible quarterback, so I don't see why he shouldn't do that. George Kittle looks like he's going to play, so that's good for Gregor. Diggs is, he's he's looking like a good wide receiver for that team. I think with the the injuries to Tank Dell and it's looking like I can't even think. Yeah, it's looking like the guy. Let's say Nico Collins is banged up a little bit, so that's where Diggs is really going to come in and kind of fill in that role and be that good player that Gregor wants out of him. Out of this one, I think Gregor's going to take the win. I just think Thomas's team is too sporadic. He can't really trust anybody right now. So Gregor's going to move to 3-1, and Thomas moves to 2-2. Looking at Bobby versus Jacob, Bobby should be carried by his his quarterbacks as usual. Dak had a decent game. Looks like Joe Mixon's going to play, so that's going to be a huge breath of fresh air for Bobby. Hopefully he sees that Game 1 form that he had earlier in the year. Outside of that, Bobby just has these kind of guys that you're not sure how they're going to play, like Jameson Williams, Drake's London, Brandon Ayuk, like all these big names, but they just really haven't done anything this year. So that's really what's holding Bobby's team down, and I think being at 2-1, he has to be happy. Over on Jacob's side, I imagine that he has a much better week. It looks like he's going with the Andy Dalton start, which is ballsy, but Kirk has not looked good. Kirk has never played good against New Orleans, so I think it's a good play. He really needs Patrick Mahomes to take off for him. I don't know when that's going to happen, but the Chargers would be a good start. James Conner has been great. You're just kind of waiting for that injury bug to happen. He started great last year and then kind of fell off a cliff. But James Conner is good as long as you're able to ride him. I think this Brian Robinson pick is going to be great now that Austin Eckler is gone. With Jaden McDaniels being an elite part of that kind of rush game, it takes a lot of pressure off of Brian Robinson, and so he should be pretty good down the line. And I think that's going to be one of Jacob's best picks. Justin Jefferson was one of those guys that everybody was unsure about going into the season because of the loss of Kirk Cousins. But Sam Darnold has proved that he can support an elite wide receiver one like Justin Jefferson. Not really a down game so far this year, with no down game in the future. He does play Jair Alexander, but like he said, so many teams have schemed up to try to stop him, and no team has had success. So Justin Jefferson's really, truly one of those guys you can't stop. Chris Olave, he played great, but he's one of those boomer bust type of guys. He should be that wide receiver one that you'd hope you'd get. But of course, as we've seen in years past, he is really boomer bust, and you don't ever know what you're going to get out of him. Sam Laporta has been one of the most disappointing picks this year, not going over 7 so far. I think he surpassed that multiple times. I mean, he already had a boom game by week 3 last year, and it only got better. Like I said, the Lions look like a run-first team this year, truly. Their offensive line can support it, but with this game being one of the highest over-unders, I think we'll see a good game from Sam Laporta, and Jacob can only hope that with starting Amon-Ra St. Brown as well. And everything I just said about Sam Laporta goes for Amon-Ra. Overall, I think that... Man, this is a tough one, but I think that Bobby's going to take this one, sending Jacob to 1-3 and sending Bobby to 3-1. For the final matchup of this week, we have Andrew versus Oscar. Andrew's team is just bitten by the injury bug. You don't know what to do when you lose your best players. He lost his first round pick. He lost one of his keepers. He lost Devontae Adams, which I think was his second round pick. So when you get hit by that, you just do the best you can. You try to survive. He's starting a lot of guys that, like Carson Steele, Danny Jones, Juwan Jennings, just a lot of guys that he didn't envision being on his team. He's trying to make the best and trying to outmanage, his situation. And, he got that 44-point outlook, or he got that 44-point game from Juwan Jennings last week. So sky's the limit for him. And the 49ers offense, with Debo coming back, it's not going to look, as good. But DK's been one of those guys that have been surprising this year. Geno, has been throwing to him. He's had 2 huge plays that kind of contributed to that 27 and 21-point week. But DK is one of those guys that is kind of boomer bust, but he's getting more consistent, more reliable as he's aged. Kind of has held down that wide receiver 1 spot in Seattle. Over on Oscar's side, he's got Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields playing. Again, dim outlook for Oscar when it came to Justin Fields. We weren't sure what he's going to look like or if he was even going to play. And now I think he's expected to stay the starter, and I don't think Russell Wilson's going to get the job back. I really think that it's Justin Fields' team now. And until they start losing, it's going to be Justin Fields' team. So we've seen what Justin Fields can do in the past, and I think he'll eventually take on that, QB 5 or lower position, player that we've seen. Aaron Rodgers against Denver might be tough, but tough matchup. We'll see how he plays. It looks like he's back on the perk, so those eyes do not lie if you've watched his last interviews, and he says he loves playing on perk, and I think that, perk Rodgers is the Rodgers we all need. So we'll see how he continues to play. Saquon and Alvin Kamara look to hope to, carry Oscar's team. We all knew Saquon was going to be good, but did we know he was going to be this good? I hate this because I held him for so long, and this is the Saquon that I wanted so badly. It's good that Oscar got him. He made a great pick. I think there was a lot of controversy whether he was going to take Caleb Williams or not, and he made the right pick for his team with taking Saquon. 2 35-point weeks already is insane. I think his floor is 15 and his ceiling is 35, so it's just insane. He's explosive. He looks great. And same goes for Alvin Kamara. We didn't really expect Alvin Kamara to be that good, but to have RB1 and RB2 on your team right now is a pretty good place to be. So Oscar's looking pretty good. He's done some, acquisitions, some things that have paid off for him. This has been a great pickup. We'll see if Jackson Smith and Jigba can continue his decent season, and we'll see if Oscar can remain undefeated. It's hard to go undefeated in fantasy. It's hard to win week in and week out. But if he can make his way to 4-0, which I do predict happens this week, that would be massive. So Andrew drops to 0-3 or 0-4, and Oscar moves on to 4-0. Looking just like at our league standings really quick. Currently, I'm leading the Finley Hill Memorial with everybody close on my heels. Again, just kind of some luck this year. Great pickup in Jordan Mason. So with not having a lot of draft capital, I've made the best out of what I've had. But again, everybody's right on my heels. Connor and Cam scoring like crazy amount of points. So the only way I'm gonna win is basically on record, unless I just keep winning. Or basically that would be it. And then on the League of Champions, Oscar has a commanding lead. If he goes to 4-0 and Bobby doesn't get the win, or Thomas, then that's kind of a commanding lead with our season only being 12 weeks. So we'll see how everything shakes out. I hope you enjoyed this recap, and I hope you enjoyed the football this Sunday. I know that we wait all week for Sunday, and it goes by so fast, but we just hope that our players play the best that they can, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you.